You're listening to the Business and Life Conversations podcast with Angela Henderson, episode 52. Hey there, you're listening to the Business and Life Conversations podcast. My name is Angela Henderson, and on this show, we talk about improving your business, life, or both by having amazing and rich conversations with brilliant guests who will inspire you and who will give you tips and tricks to help you grow both in life and in business. Well, hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Business and Life Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Angela, from Angela Henderson Consulting, where I'm a business consultant helping women in business to develop the foundational framework and strategy they need to grow sustainable and profitable businesses. And I help these amazing women through my VIP one-on-one coaching, my 8-week business group coaching program, Profit Pillars, and also by running Australia's leading 4-day, 3-night Women in Business retreat. Now, today's episode is a super duper exciting show for me. Now, why, you might ask? Because today is my 52nd episode on this podcast. And this means I'm celebrating my 1-year anniversary as a podcaster. Say what? 1 entire year of podcasting. Even saying it is just kind of mind-blowing to me. I mean, to think that for every week, for the last 52 weeks, I've released a new podcast episode. As I said, just saying that gives me chills of happiness, makes my heart feel a little bit happier than it was just a few seconds ago. To celebrate the podcast's first anniversary, I want to talk to you about the growth over the last year, the lessons I've learned, and about chasing your dreams. Here's to confetti, pink balloons, glitter, sprinkles, Nutella, and to many other future podcast episodes. So let's dig into this 1-year anniversary of the Business and Life Conversations podcast with me, Angela Henderson. I remember reading a quote. I don't know who the actual person was that quote this is. It's not mine, but I remember seeing it on Instagram or somewhere. And the quote goes something like this: that podcast, launch it. That blog, start it. That book, write it. That idea, flesh it out. That app, develop it. That life, live it. Take action. And I remember 18 months ago when I attended We Are Podcast here in Brisbane, I was sitting in the audience. I was one of the few without a podcast, but I was still there learning and embracing the vibrant environment that I was in. And it was amazing. It was a brilliant conference that Ronsley had put on. And as I was there absorbing absolutely everything, I knew it didn't matter about what mic I had. It didn't matter about how my voice sounded over, the podcast. What mattered is that I took action, because I knew deep down that there are people out there, maybe even you listening, that I can help. There are people out there I can make an impact through my platform on, talking about depression, anxiety, and a variety of other conversations. It was time to put my fears aside. And once I put those fears aside, that's when Business and Life Conversations came to life. The growth, not only from the business perspective, but from a personal perspective, since having the Business and Life Conversations podcast, has been absolutely, there's not really words I can say to that. Where do I begin about the business growth? Gosh, there's so many amazing things I could talk about. This podcast has allowed me to connect with so many brilliant business owners. It has been a privilege to have such amazing people on the podcast. These people telling their story, sharing their wisdom, and learning from some of the best in business. From a personal point of view, this podcast has been a huge outlet in a year I would have rather forgotten about. A time when I'd lost my grandmother and my brother within a space of 6 months. It was a dark time for me. The depression was there, the anxiety was there, but I knew I needed an outlet, something new, something to keep me occupied. And in so many ways, as I get a bit teary, this podcast kept me going through the darkest hours. And even this year, when I lost a man who was like a father figure to me on Jan 1 and a dear friend mid-Jan, I wanted to give up. I wanted to throw in the towel. Trust me, I wanted to throw in the towel. 4 deaths within 13 months. It was a heavy time. But again, it was this podcast that kept me going. It gave me purpose. And I will forever, ever be grateful for having this outlet. Lessons. There are a shit ton of lessons I've learned over the year with having a podcast, and there are still lessons I'm learning every single day. But the biggest lesson I've learned, it's okay to feel uncomfortable. It's okay to not be in control all the time. It's okay to trust the process, to follow your gut. Because when you sit in the uncomfortable, this is where the magic truly, truly happens. This is where the growth comes from. Embrace the uncomfortable. Now, chasing your dreams. This part is simple. What I'd say to you is stop playing small. And as Lewis Howe says, when you have the courage to chase your dreams, you inspire others to chase theirs. Don't give up. You never know who you are inspiring. And to finish this podcast off, I'd like to go back to the original quote I talked about. That podcast, launch it. That blog, start it. That book, write it. That idea, flesh it out. That app, develop it. That life, live it. Take action. The choice, my friends, is yours. To my listeners, to my clients, to my business friends, to my podcast VA team, to my family, my husband Dale, and my beautiful kids Finley and Chloe, thank you. Thank you for supporting me through this crazy and amazing business journey. Thank you for supporting me on the 1-year anniversary of my podcast. Thank you for the hours that you have allowed me to grow and to learn and to be in my office doing this podcast. I appreciate each and every one of you. Now, go chase your dreams. Have a brilliant day, everyone, and thank you again for your ongoing support as I celebrate my 1-year anniversary with the Business and Life Conversations podcast. Love to all from Brisbane. Thanks for listening to the Business and Life Conversations podcast with Angela Henderson. www.angelahenderson.com.au